Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast. If you're a regular listener, thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm your host, Carey, independent publisher of books that matter and an international best-selling author, and of course, the host of this globally ranked podcast. I help metaphysical coaches and healers gain confidence, clarity, raise their visibility and their credibility, giving them the opportunity to shine their light brighter so that the people they are here to serve can find them. I do this by creating opportunities for them to become best-selling authors in my multi-author and solo book projects. I also offer one-to-one mentorship services to help spiritual business owners find and unlock their limiting beliefs. In this podcast, I'll be sharing wisdom from myself, coaches, authors and energy healers that could be just what you need to transform your life today. You can connect with me via the Contact Katie button at my website at www.soulfulvalley.com.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Hello! In our current series, we're thrilled to host some of the amazing contributing authors from our book collaboration, Becoming the Manifesting Diva, Creating Ripples While You Flow, with 30 inspiring stories and a foreword by the renowned Dr. Joe Vitale. Becoming the Manifesting Diva is now a Amazon #1 international best-selling book. So thank you for supporting this book and for helping our authors become bestsellers once again. The book is now available on Amazon around the world. So go and grab your copy. We have some opportunities to collaborate with us too. Evolving on Purpose, the book series. We are also excited to announce our third book in this series, titled Evolving on Purpose, Akashic Journeying to Wealth Consciousness. This is not just a book. It's a spiritual growth journey for both the authors and its readers. If you're an Akashic Records expert, this opportunity is tailor-made for you. And we also have some healing offers. Explore my range of meditations and guided healing sessions designed to help clear your money wounds and blocks. Plus, don't miss out on our Akashic Co-Creation activation to unlock your creativity. All these offerings are available on my Pensite page. If you would love a VIP service with a more personalised experience, connect with me through my website for a bespoke offer where I will support you holistically in overcoming challenges in your life and business. Remember, everything is interconnected. Links to applications and more details can be found in the show notes. And finally, if you've already read any of our books on Amazon or you're a listener on this podcast, please also leave us an Amazon review and follow and review this podcast to help us spread our important messages and help more people find solutions and help themselves. And now, let's get back to the episode you came here to listen to. Gauthier is a mum of 2 incredible teenagers and likes to refer herself as a Kate of all trades because she collects certifications like Pokémon cards and has a variety of interests that she pursues regularly. To date, she is a certified belief-clearing practitioner, Hatha yoga teacher, yin yoga teacher, spiritual coach, black coat in Hapkido, author, trauma survivor, mental health advocate, bikini competitor, meditation teacher and entrepreneur. She is also working towards her yoga therapist certification. Katie specialises in setting audacious goals and accelerating the process of attaining them by using all of her acquired skills. Her primary goal in life is to live it fully and help others heal from the things they don't necessarily talk about to get them on track to living their best lives. Katie unapologetically uses her unique perspective and keen sense of humour to help clients and all in her energetic field feel at ease and welcome exactly as they are. She is certain that life can always be better when we choose to live authentically based on her personal experiences. Her business is called Elevate Yoga and Wellness, because Katie believes in the power of moving up to the next level by connecting and balancing mind, body and spirit. In Katie's experience, connecting and balancing mind, body and spirit allows for a much easier means of releasing trauma and all that no longer serves the individual. This release creates space for new habits that align with the individual's idea of their dream life. Katie likes to use herself as a primary example of how one can go from rock bottom to living an incredible life with the right strategies and practices. You can connect with Katie at the links in the show notes. Hello, and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast, Katie Gauthier.
Hi.
Hello, Katie. Katie's one of the authors in Becoming the Manifesting Diva. And Katie, I met you through Ivan, am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
You're that lovely human that he is.
And we already have Ivan's episode on the podcast, which I think I remember that you commented on that episode as well, because it was so brilliant.
Oh my gosh, that was a next level episode, I have to say.
I was up there with my vibration in that.
I bet, because I mean, just listening to it, it's hard not to tune into everything, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful. But you stood out to me because your name at the time was Katie Allen. What a synchronicity. If you don't know by now, listeners, the partner that I manifested is called Alan. So Katie Allen was quite a synchronicity to me. and then, well, I just noticed you everywhere.
Yeah.
And maybe you noticed me too.
It was great. You just kind of popped up into my world and then suddenly you're everywhere and I love it.
And I felt like that about you as well. So
really?
Yeah, it was a mutual connection that had to occur, I felt.
I agree.
And then I finally got around to inviting you into the book collaboration, because before that I thought, well, if she wanted to, she would just come and ask me, but you didn't.
And what's funny about that? That was 100% a limiting belief thing, because I was like, oh, I mean, who's going to want to hear my story?
Which is what a lot of people think. So that's why I don't always leave it to just putting it out there and thinking that someone's going to come and respond to my posts, because people are sitting there thinking, oh, I don't have a story to share, or I'm not a writer, and all of the things. But you were quite delighted when I did ask you. I remember.
Oh, absolutely. Very much so. For me, it was like wait a second, somebody sees something in me. Maybe I do have something worth sharing.
Oh, you have lots worth sharing. I love your chapter.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to share a little bit with our listeners about, because I know who you are, but our listeners have no idea who you are because you haven't been on this show before. And I'm sure they'd love to know who Katie is and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you've probably guessed, my name is Katie. And the short version of what I do is I help people learn how to live their best lives. The longer version of that is I help people clear away unhelpful beliefs and trauma from the mind and body using yoga and coaching techniques. And when we do that, it helps them see, okay, this is what's working for me. This is what's not working for me. And then we figure out what they would prefer to have their life look like. And from there, we break it all down into itty bitty pieces and micro goals and baby steps to make it as easy as possible. And thanks to the law of momentum, they tend to go from, okay, plateau, and suddenly we're all the way up at the top. And before you know it, they're living a completely different life. And it's absolutely magical to see.
That's beautiful. And what is your chapter? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. The whole premise of my chapter is taking notice of those, what I like to call crossroad moments, where you're faced with a choice where you can either stay on the path that you're on You can take another loop around the block and learn a lesson that you've already learned in another way. Or you can take a leap of faith and go on a new path and see where that takes you. And in my experience, when it comes to manifesting in particular, is I tend to notice, usually after the fact, I should say, but I tend to notice that when I hit a decision maker or when I hit a point where I have to make a decision about taking action or not taking action, it tends to either open up a whole new world of possibilities that I was never expecting, or it's like taking a loop around the block. You see the same things all over again, and maybe it's a different perspective. So you come back to another crossroad moment where you can choose to stay on the same path or, again, deviate.
I recognize that.
Yeah.
I tend to try and take the action these days.
Yeah, me too. Which is why I was so excited when you messaged me in the first place. So I was like, oh, this is a big crossroad. We're doing it.
And you call yourself Katie of all trades.
Oh, yes. Yes. I tend to call myself a Katie of all trades because I'm also a forever student. I love learning. I absolutely love it. And I tend to collect certifications like Pokémon cards so that I can offer my clients the most well-rounded experience possible in or with one coach as opposed to, oh, well, I can help you with this, but let me refer you to somebody else for that. Which, and don't get me wrong, I am all about referrals. If something is out of my wheelhouse, I'm the first to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't do that yet, or it's not my specialty, but let me get you in touch with somebody that does specialize in this.
Beautiful. And I resonate with that so much because I've had to call myself now a holistic life and business coach healer.
I love that.
Healer, because I can't put myself into a box, because if I see that I can help somebody in whatever area it is in life and business, from the years of certifications I've gathered, years of coaching that I've been in and mentorship, then I want to help that person as much as I can during that time that I'm with them. So, so some people will come to me thinking it's for one thing, but we're doing a lot of things.
Yeah, I love that.
We're clearing all of the stuff underneath it first.
Exactly. I mean, look at just what we've done with the book collaboration so far, all of the group sessions that we've done with everything and the Akashic Records. Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, and why wouldn't I do that? If it's going to help you all to write better,
why
wouldn't I bring that gift? It's
I love that.
Perfect sense, doesn't it?
It does. And that's my whole thing too. If I can help, why won't I?
Soul sisters here because we're right on the same wavelength with the same name.
Yeah.
On the opposite ends of the world.
Yeah. We'll just grab a couple pieces of bread, make a sandwich out of it.
Is there anything else you'd like to share today, Katie? Any manifesting tips, any experiences you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, actually, as far as manifesting goes, I do have a group that I am working with currently in our manifesting experiment. And recently, we've been looking at how to bring your manifestation from an idea or a concept into the physical realm. And the easiest way to do something like that, in my experience, is to have a little manifesting box. I don't know if you can read what it says here. It's probably a little burnt.
Everything starts with a dream.
Yeah. So that's my little manifestation box. And I just put little things that symbolize what I'm trying to manifest. So in this case, the big manifestation that I'm working on currently is I would like to have made $1 million in my business by my 40th birthday, which is coming up in a little under 2 years. So I've got like pyrite in there. I've got green aventurine in there. I've got some coins and cinnamon, all little things that represent abundance and quick abundance, might add. So,
Did I notice that you created a manifesting journal as well?
oh yes, I did. Actually, I've got the proof of it right here. Yes, now I've got my manifesting journal. Well,
Ah.
here's the proof of it, but
So is that available everywhere now?
it is. It's available on Amazon, on all of the Amazons. Or the Canadian site, it sells for 15, and it just gets cheaper from there because of currency conversion, which is kind of nice.
We'll pop a link to that in the show notes if you give me the links, because
Oh,
I had my eye on that. I had my eye on it when I was
really?
talking about it, but I couldn't see it on the UK at that point. So maybe it's there now.
Okay.
So
It should be.
yeah.
I'll make sure that I'll make sure you get a copy of the link, like as soon as we wrap up, because
there is something really magical about putting your manifestation dreams on paper and journaling. It's a wonderful tool. It's quite magical. So yeah, I'm after that. I want one of them.
Thank you. And honestly, the best part about the workbook is it's not only manifesting. Like, we work on gratitude, we work on checking in with ourselves. So, the actual self-care, not the flimsy, I'm going to take a bubble bath and get a manicure, which there is nothing wrong with a bubble bath and a manicure. Let me be clear. But it's the deeper self-care, which I think is more important than the surface level stuff.
Yeah, because that's how you do manifest your dreams, isn't it? Because you manifest who you are. So
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, since 2021, my whole life has completely changed. I'm not the same person that I was, thank goodness. Which that also is discussed in the chapter. But yeah. So it's kind of cool to see when you look back after you've manifested like a whole new life, for instance. It's cool to look back and see, oh, here's where that happened. There's where that happened. Okay, I see the path now.
Yeah, I found myself only yesterday. One of my coaches was had done a post to a coach that is both of our coaches. I jumped into that container in 2019, and I realized that both of those women, my life had changed because of my connection to the first one. It was Denise Duffield Thomas, so I jumped into her mini boot camp first, and then I met Joanna Hunter in that boot camp. I also met my EFT teacher in that boot camp. And then there's lots of people who have gone on to be my authors that are in that first room that I was in. So I'm still in that room 5 years later. And when I go back and look at who the mutual friends are, it's like, wow, the connection, when you connect the dots backwards, and how much my life has changed as well. And it actually made me cry a bit, thinking about where I could be if I hadn't have gone into that room in 2019. So these decisions that you make are huge.
They really are.
You don't
and actually, it's so
realize until later.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that this one container was so big for you, because that's how Ivan and I met. We both had the same business coach for a yoga, specifically for yoga teachers. And that's how we met. And that's how I ended up with you. So
I met you through Ivan. Yeah, ripples. And Ivan was in another room that I was in because of Joanna again. So I wouldn't have met Ivan. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's all connected. I'm convinced.
And then Luke, I met Luke because of Ivan. And
I met Luke through you.
So we're all connected. And when we start to see the bigger picture of these connections and the ripple effects and the collaborations and the opportunities and the possibilities and the potential to just transform your life, it's not a little thing. And some people get carried away actually looking at the money. Like they'll be looking always at, oh, I'm not bringing in much income, or my income's gone down. And and focusing on the negative, but there are such huge potentialities there that's what you want to be looking at over there, what you're grateful for. So yeah, the gratitude part of your journal is huge.
Oh, yes. And I mean, let me see if I can find the page. Yeah. And I mean, there's several pages where it's all, I don't know how clear
Can you go back out a bit because it's too close? That's it.
has that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And it's all fill in the blank style so that it's easy peasy. It's beginner friendly and intermediate friendly, probably advanced friendly too. But I mean, if you're advanced, you probably don't need a workbook.
I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, it never hurts to have something to.
Yeah, I love my
in.
journals and my my workbooks, and yeah, I've probably got a stationery addiction. But it's beautiful stationery.
As long as it serves a purpose, and I mean,
exactly.
You can use it eventually.
Yeah. And it's good to look back on as well when you're connecting the dots backwards.
100%. And it's so funny because like I'll look over some old journals here and there and just be like, wow, I was in a bad headspace, or wow, okay, here's where things were starting to turn. So it's a wild journey. And if you have something to look back on for it, all the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else, Katie, that you haven't shared that you'd like to share while you're here?
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty that I'm
we could probably talk all day.
Oh, I guarantee that. I guess one thing that I really want to share is that, you know, in my chapter, I do discuss a pretty heavy topic. So fair warning for anybody that's going to be reading it. It does get a little heavy, but I promise it lightens up. And I just want to say, if you're going through a heavy time right now and you happen to be looking around and not seeing a whole lot of options, just stay put for a minute, because the path will show itself to you, and you don't have to make a permanent decision based on a temporary situation. That's something that I had to learn a very hard way. And if I can share one thing with people, that's it. You do not have to make a permanent decision based on temporary circumstances.
Well, based on your emotions.
Exactly.
Because a lot of us do that.
Are going to change.
Yeah.
So quickly.
So many people make their decisions based on their emotions in that moment, and it's not really serving them very well.
Exactly. And the amount of people that I've talked to that have attempted to make a permanent decision, and I'm being very careful about how I word this because I don't want to like trigger anybody, but I have spoken with several people that have attempted a permanent decision based on temporary circumstances, and each and every one has said, you know, I'm glad I survived. And I think that's a huge takeaway, that not many people in the thick of, I mean, for me, it was my mental health that had taken a dive. So I can only really speak to that, but I know for sure, it does get better. You do have to put in some work, but it does get better. And as soon as it starts getting better, it gets real good.
Yeah, thank you for that, Katie. And a lot of our chapters do start with, most of us have been through a period of a dark night of the soul, basically, before we come to this stage. So if you're in yours, then there's another way. There is a path that will unfold. And
exactly.
And if you're listening to this podcast, then you're on the right track.
100%. Agreed.
It's a good start. I know one of the things that literally, when I was in a really dark time, going to a workplace that I hated, and I was stuck in a marriage that was torturous, I sat and I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast on the way to work and on the way back. And that was, it's a few years ago now when he started, but that was my solace at the time. That was the thing that had me, you know, start changing the way I was thinking and feeling. So podcasts can be great for that.
Agreed. And the best part about it, you never know who exactly you're going to impact. And it's pretty wild, especially when you sit down and really think about the ripple effect, eh?
Yeah, I know. And I'm starting to look at that a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it keeps you going as well. It keeps you going.
Absolutely.
When you can see that there is a bigger impact with every little decision that you do make.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly in these kind of magical businesses.
Yes, exactly.
They're like spiritual growth on steroids, I think.
Yes. Oh, 100%. If you want to grow spiritually, start a spiritual business. Fastest way to make leaps and bounds of growth, because you kind of realize, oh, there's a lot of work to do. But then you put in the effort and it's like, oh, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Baby steps. That will get you there.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I like harp on my clients for. Don't look at the leaps and bounds. We take baby steps here.
Yeah, and every baby step is just as important.
Exactly, because when you're taking small incremental steps, it's easier to climb a ladder than if you have to like really reach up for the next ring.
And amazing things can fly in unexpectedly while you're in the process of doing that quite joyfully.
Exactly.
If you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. And let's face it, who wants to be like when they can just
yeah.
You know? Sorry, for anybody that can't see, I was like reaching really high, making a ridiculous face versus, huddling along, all happy, go lucky.
Thanks, Katie. Where can our listeners find you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, I'm The Real Katie of All Trades and Katie Gauthier on Facebook. I'm usually on both, so
the links will all be in the show notes as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. I loved this. Thank you so much, Katie.
It's always a pleasure, Katie. Bye for now.
Bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thanks for listening to the Soulful Valley podcast. I trust that you will have heard something today that you were ready to hear, and that it's made you feel a little lighter, more aligned and connected with your soul's purpose, and you have been reminded of who you really are and the true nature of the power that you hold within you. My aim for this podcast is to bring love, light, wisdom, raise consciousness and ease suffering. If you've enjoyed the show, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue of previous episodes. Subscribe, follow, rate and review so that you're notified when new episodes drop in, and share this podcast with anyone that you think it may help to listen to. You can connect with me at soulfulvalley.com, and if you scroll to the bottom of the website, there are links to my social media platforms.